Hi, my name is Val, and today I will be talking about the FCC standards for indecent speech. These would include whether they are still tenable in online communities, and if not, what would be the new standards that could be applied. But first, we need to take a look at the following concepts. FCC stands for Federal Communications Commission. This is an independent U.S. government agency. It was created under the Commissions Act of 1934 in order to replace the Federal Radio Commission. Its main function is regulate the interstate radio, television, wire, satellite, and cable communications, as well as all of the international media that comes into the U.S. territories. The FCC also has jurisdiction over communications in the 50 states. Indecent speech refers to anything that portrays sexual organs or activities in any way that is patently offensive but does not meet the three-pronged test for obscenity. The FCC three-pronged test for obscenity consists on the content being appealing to an average person's prudent interest. The content should not describe sexual conduct in a patently offensive way, and taken as a whole, it shouldn't lack serious literacy, artistic, political, or a scientific value. Lastly, online communities. This is a community whose members interact with each other, primarily via the internet. An example of these could be Facebook or blogs, Twitter X, or even Reddit. There are different types of online communities. There's brand communities, support communities, learning communities, networking communities, social communities, and fan communities. As I mentioned before, the FCC defines indecent speech as any material that, in context, describes sexual organs or activities in an offensive way. This is measured by the Contemporary Community Standards for the Broadcast Medium. The FCC must weigh and balance three important factors in order to determine whether the broadcast material is offensive or not. This is because each indecency case presents its own particular mix of factors. The three most important ones that the FCC takes into consideration are: first one, the explicitness or graphic nature of the description. Second one being whether the materials dwells on or repeats at length descriptions of sexual organs or activities. And lastly, whether the material panders to, titillates, or shocks the audience. At the same time, however, the FCC is also careful of the First Amendment's protections and the prohibitions on censorship and interface with broadcasters and its freedoms of speech. Currently, the FCC's ability to regulate on behalf of the public interest is in many ways confined to the narrow context of broadcasting, according to Philip Napoli, professor of Duke University. The FCC does not regulate what is being broadcasted or shared in online community. It in fact does not regulate any type of online content. The internet is public, much like the public broadcast spectrum is public. That is precisely the reason why the FCC regulates the majority of broadcast companies. Marshall Auerbach argues that the same logic should apply to social media companies, putting them under the domain of a regulator, just like the FCC. Having the government regulate the free-for-all on social media is unlikely to circumscribe the civil liberties or democracy one way or another. Auerbach claims that we managed to have the civil rights movements even though radio, TV, and Hollywood were being overseen by the FCC. This means that there should be no reason to think that a set of regulations on social media will throw back the US into a political dark age or will affect freedom of expression. In conclusion, The FCC is facing significant challenges. It will continue to review its rationale for regulating the internet, and its authority to regulate public broadcasting communications may also be reshaped. Attempts to establish an overreaching regulatory framework for social media over the years have failed to find a consensus.